Hello, everybody, and welcome to this video where today we are going to talk about what happens when the joy of the art you make, the joy of the poetry you write, has left you and you don't know what to do about it. So let's get cracking. But first, before we get any further into this, I just want to let you guys know that if you are in the LA area, two of my black sand paintings are still at Carter Sexton Art for the rest of this week, and I think the show closes on Sunday. So if you are in the Valley or in LA, and you're around Studio City, Valley Village, North Hollywood, Sherman Oaks area, get out to Carter Sexton and you can see Black Sand 2 and Black Sand 3 on display and for sale through the end of the week. Second, if you haven't gone to check out my crowdfunding campaign for my new poetry collection, Seasons of the Muse, click the link down below, igg.me/@/Seasons of the Muse, to check out the book, all of the art prints that come with it, and original art pieces that you can get, as well as add-ons. So check all that stuff out. So I got a question. I'm just going to read the entirety of it. I'll keep the person anonymous. What is a poet that doesn't poem? When things get shaky and you don't know why. Maybe you can do a video about this. Like, when I first started writing, it was like I was connected to something powerful, a big spurting line of electricity going through me and the poems. But as time has gone on, even if I write good poems or not, I actually don't care as long as I get to write, I'm missing that connection. Okay, so let's talk about that. A lot of times when we write poetry, and especially free verse poetry, we are doing it as almost a form of therapy, okay? And I'm not saying this is what's going on with this person, but just in general, I've heard this from a lot of different people, that just like with therapy, because a lot of you have been in therapy before, but you're probably not still in therapy, or you go to therapy and you have some breakthroughs and you still go to therapy because it's something that you kept doing, but you don't have the same feel for it. You don't get the same catharsis from going to therapy that you once did. Or sometimes you feel like you're better and you don't need it anymore. That's also something that goes on. So with poetry, back to this, a lot of times when you are writing about you, like internal stuff that you're wrestling with, especially if it's the first time you've done it, it is like magic. It is like explosions. Like, you are finding things out for yourself. You are finding things inside you that you didn't know were there. You are understanding things. You're finally able to talk about that horrific thing that happened that you've kept quiet for all these years. These are big, huge, monumental things that happen. Okay? So when you do all of that and you don't have the big, giant, hidden things to talk about anymore, you might feel that some of your poetry doesn't have that same spark. It doesn't have that same boom, The other thing is, whenever you're doing something new, it's new and it's amazing. And look at poetry or look at your art as a relationship. When you first start a relationship, you're in that honeymoon phase and it is amazing. No matter what happens, no matter anything's adorable, anything's cute. You could watch your partner go to the bathroom and it's adorable and you're like, oh god, that's adorable, that's cute, and it just fills you with so much joy and excitement. But then after a while, even though it's still good, you don't have that same like honeymoon shit that you did with your poems when you first started. You're writing good poems, but you don't have that boom. You don't have that big thing. Okay. Now, I want to illustrate this as it works with relationships because that doesn't mean you get out of that relationship and go look for another relationship. If you have a good relationship, you have a good relationship, and that's awesome. And as time goes on, there will be other things that make that big excitement happen. But you have your partner, you have your person. You know what I'm saying? And your poetry is like that too, especially if you're saying like, yeah, and like I'm writing poems and they're good poems. I just don't have that boom, that fire. I don't feel like that connection. So that's another thing. Another thing that could be going on is that you are writing very base level stuff. And I don't mean to say that in an insulting way, but you're being safe. And when you're being safe, that's when a lot of the stuff is just like, you know, there's this like saying like, you should create art that you're not sure if you should create. Like when you have that weird uncertainty, when you're like, ooh, this might be pushing it here. That's when you're doing great. That's the art. That's the pushing you to the unknown. That's what you need to be doing. That's how you get that connection. When you're kind of stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit, like when you're right about to do something that you think you maybe shouldn't be doing. I think David Bowie said it really good too when like he kind of described it as like going out into the water and then going to right to where you can't touch, and it's kind of scary because you don't know how to swim, let's say, and you go right out to where you can't touch and you're scared, and then you go a little bit further. That's where you're supposed to be when you're creating art, just a little bit further to where you're totally uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Then there's also the idea of, if you don't want to be creating safe art, you always want to make sure you're creating something that you wouldn't want your mom to see. Like if you're creating something that you're like, oh, I would love for my mom to read this, or I would love for my mom to look at this painting, then like you need to go a little further. You need to push it a little bit more. You need to make it to where like you're like, oh, my partner is going to be very upset with me if I put this out. I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just saying like that's like what people say, you know? So these are all really good ways to do stuff. But if you, like right now, as I'm saying this, you'll be able to understand and go, oh, okay. But if there's anything that comes to your mind when I say what I'm about to say, then you already know the answer. If there's anything out there that you have inside you that you want to write about, but you haven't been writing about it because you're scared for whatever reason. You're afraid of how it's going to make you look. You're afraid of what people are going to think. You're afraid of what your partner's going to think. You're afraid of what your kids are going to think. If there's anything that's like that, if you know what I'm talking about as I'm saying it, that's what you're supposed to be creating art about. And you've been hiding it. You've been putting it in a jar. You've been putting it in a box. And there might be this thing, and I don't know if this is how like this whole metaphysical art stuff works, but there might be a thing where it's like this was given to you as something to create and something to make something meaningful and powerful and huge with. And if you don't do that thing, then the gods won't give you the next thing. They've given you a gift and you could either create with it or not. But if you're going to or not, then the gods are going to move on because they've already given you something that you aren't wanting to play with. You know what I'm saying? So if something flashed in your head as I was saying that, then maybe that's what you should be doing right now. Okay. Why don't you spend like the next week just kind of toying around with that and see how you feel? Another thing is, and I don't mean to be weird about anything, but well, there's two things. One, there is a sense of fellowship or camaraderie that comes with creating art. And if when you first started creating art, you were a part of a group like Anarchy Crew or something like that, and that played a big part in what you were doing, and that made you feel good, and that was the thing. And now that you're like more isolated, you're creating art and it's not feeling the same, that might be why. It might be something where you just need to be in with other people doing stuff, you know, to have that bounce back, you know, if that's something. And then finally, probably another thing that it could be, and I don't know how you feel about this, but you might just want to like ask the universe, and I'm not trying to get super woo on you here, but like the muses, ask them to come to you. Say, like, I miss creating art that drives me mad and makes me feel like I'm bursting inside. Where has that gone? Come back to me. You know, I don't know what kind of offering you would have to give the muses, but I feel like I've given everything. So it's like, I don't know what I have left, but like, I don't know, like offer something. I don't know, think about it. This is all about you and inside and out here, you know? It's a very personal thing. So take what I say as like a grain with a grain of salt, you know, like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. This is just how I go about stuff, you know? So let me know down below if you've had any instances like this. If anything I said connected with you, if like you understand, like, oh yeah, that's me. If anything like that, let me know down below. And if you are in the LA area, again, run over and check out Black Sand 2 and 3 at Carter Sexton Art in Studio City in the Valley. And then if you haven't yet checked out the Seasons of the Muse crowdfunding campaign, the link is down below, igg.me/@/Seasons of the Muse, one word, and you could check it out, check out the book. It's going to be like 350 pages. There's 7 pieces of my art in there, as well as like a gajillion poems, plus you get a free limited run chapbook that if you don't do the campaign, you don't get, no one else will get. You get an art print, and then there's also print packs you could get. You could get some of the original paintings and all this other stuff. So there's a ton of cool stuff, and you get your name in the book. Who doesn't want their name in a book? So yeah, so check it out. So type hard, everybody, and I will talk to you all later.